Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Rock of Truth podcast. Nick Statterman, Joe Met, Jake Sopko, bringing it to you live here. Quick word from our sponsor, Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Spring is around the corner and summertime trips too. Get your car ready to go with Danco's awesome service. At Danco, they'll shoot you straight with you and let you know what's important to fix and what you can hold off on and plan for later. Save 10% when you mention Rock of Truth. Tell them me, Statty Daddy, sent you. Gentlemen.
I finally figured it out, boys.
Oh boy.
Statty Daddy's like side hustle.
It's not reading.
Books on tape.
Yeah.
That was the perfect books on tape, boys. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. It's Statty Daddy here.
Oh, I thought you meant he listens to
you were saying because
No. Like he's gonna be like the voice of books on tape.
That makes more sense.
That's not a knock. Like people make a lot of money doing that stuff.
I can't read, Chad.
The only book that I ever listened to that was on tape was Matthew McConaughey's like memoir or whatever you want to call it. And listening to him talk about himself, that was electric.
How about like kids' books on tape? Could you do kids' books on tape?
I haven't listened to too many kids'
Maybe
books.
Like Green Eggs and Ham, and that's about it.
Like the whole, like you could do kids' books on tape. You just had a good voice, so you had a good flow, like a good rhythm.
I can get into a little announcer broadcasting role. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I thought that was a good vibe from you.
Thank you.
Do you want to give us your best broadcasting
right now?
Yeah, right now. I know you got a good one. You go and then I'll go, and then maybe Joe Matt can follow us.
I mean, like, what are we? All right. Hello, everybody.
Sorry, go ahead.
Welcome to historic Nippert Stadium. We've got the Miami Hurricanes facing up against the Cincinnati Bearcats. How about that?
All right, you ready? You want me to go?
Yeah, kind of hard on the spot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to historic Nippert Stadium with the Cincinnati Bearcats will be taking on the Miami of Ohio Redhawks.
Okay. All right, what about this one?
Yeah.
And now, your starting lineups for the Cincinnati Bearcats, starting at guard, 5'7", 205, working on his figure this summer and spring. Got to get his macros in check. Joe Metzger. Starting at the 2, standing about 6'3", 210. He now lives down in Orlando, Florida. He should be a big man, but he acts like a wing. Jake Sopko.
I wish I was 210. I'm pushing 218 these days.
Sorry, dude. I hit the scale of 246. Had a long look in the mirror that yesterday morning.
It happens to the best of us, brother.
But it's all right, dude.
You guys do know. I know we've talked a little bit. Soppy, you weren't really in the picture earlier, but I was telling Statty today was day 2 of me getting back in the weight room lifting.
How'd that go?
I had a brief couple days last week where I lifted a little bit, and I took a break. Got lazy, to be honest with you guys, and looked in the mirror the other night and thought, man, you are kind of fat, and so thought I got a little chubby. Trying to work on getting myself back in shape. So trying to hit the weight room. Now Statty and I are going to have a business meeting about something called macros. Don't know what exactly that entails, but I'm fired up about it. And I'm looking to just shred some fat and gain some muscle for wedding season in September. For when my bride walks down the aisle, I want her to be proud of not just the man that she's marrying, but the look of the man she's marrying. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. You know what would be really
PFC, Joe. PFC.
PFC, baby. What's PFC?
Yeah. What is that?
Proteins, fats, and carbs.
Oh, okay.
Or I got one for you. MS, metabolic steroids. Ever thought about it?
Or diabetes, diabetics, eating Wheaties.
All right.
That's me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, Joe, we're located about 7 minutes down the road from where you work at. So maybe pop in sometime.
Wait, really?
A little lunch break, yeah.
Can I come get like a free session just to check it out?
Dude, just come in and throw down with me sometime, yeah.
Okay. That'd be awesome, man. What about like next week? Let's like set up a day where like I come in there and just get ripped with you.
That's great. I think it's going to take more than one day, but that's
but like a good starting point, like I'm trying to get back into the game.
Go back to like when you go back to be your student leader role, they're going to be like, holy shit, look at that.
Yeah, guy. Like I want to I feel like for me, like I'm just like fired up to get back in shape. Like there's something about, I know that 90% of it is what I eat. So we need to really talk about the macros, like I don't feel like I've been eating my best. I've been trying to cut out desserts and like some of the sugary drinks like Gatorade and Powerade. I've been really trying to focus on water, but I still am not eating great.
Right.
It's small steps.
I think Bearcat Nation was thrilled for tonight's episode to hear about your journey, and I think giving them an update the rest of the way is going to be crucial, and I'm really looking forward to your success.
Thank you.
I am as well. I'm excited. You were in the weight room today. Were you just like, what were we throwing around on the bench press?
I did a little bench press. I'm trying to do less weight, more reps right now. The last couple of times I started lifting, I kind of injured myself. Whether it's me not properly lifting the right way or just trying to like sling around some big weight and just like really, working too hard.
Were you on a bar, dumbbells?
I don't remember, dude. I just every time today?
Today? Yeah.
Oh, today I remember, yeah. Bar. I cranked out like 100 push-ups in there, dude. I don't know if that's like a great exercise or anything,
it's a great exercise.
100. That's a shit ton.
I can barely feel my arms. I can barely feel my arms right now because I haven't done push-ups in like a year. So I was like doing like 5 at a time. By the end, like I was like really felt super weak.
I thought you were bench pressing.
I was little weight, dude. I maybe had like 15s on each side.
It's awesome.
What is that called, Steady? Hypertrophy? Am I saying that right?
Hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy. I knew I was pronouncing it wrong. I knew what I was talking about, but I knew I was pronouncing
it. It's spelled hypertrophy, but
I did some rows.
It's good.
And,
that helps.
And I did some band work too. Just like
get that flexibility up.
Shoulder
trying to work my posture.
Work on your posture. Hell yeah, Joe Matt.
Yeah. Chin tuck.
If you need it.
I like that.
Good stuff.
That's awesome.
All right, let's get into some Bearcat athletics here. We've talked enough about lifting, and we'll check back in on my journey next week and how the what are we talking about this week? What's our meeting about?
Macros.
Yeah, macros. We'll talk about the macros next week and kind of how that meeting went and what it's doing for my progress. But let's get into what everyone wants to hear about, and that is Bearcat basketball. This is about the time of the year where Soppy really locks into college basketball.
It is.
And
so excited for him.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm fired up. I'm fired up to have Soppy kind of join in on the conversation here in the next few weeks and talk more about Bearcat basketball. Obviously, a rough one on Sunday. Once again, just not putting together two great halves. We got a first half that was just abysmal on almost every level. Brought it back and got it together in the second half, tied the game at one point at 50, ended up losing by 3. But, obviously we're going to talk about it. I mean, how much of the game did you two watch? Do you have thoughts? Do you have opinions? Do you have concerns right now?
I didn't watch any of the game. But I saw the final score and I just, Joe, you kind of said it like back before the season when I was just kind of being oblivious and prideful about the Bearcats. It's straight up lack of just kind of talent. I think you saying that's just drilling it on the nail, and it kind of continues to show up again and again, and kind of is why we keep losing a lot of close games.
I was kind of, I mean, if we're being honest, I was at the game the other night against Temple when it went to overtime, and the Bearcats had the game won. They kind of blew it at the end, let Temple back into it. Couple bad calls by the refs. The refs were just really bad in the second half. But that's the story of college basketball. It's really going to be the story in the American when you're leaving to go to the Big 12 and the team you're playing against is staying in the American. I don't know how much that plays into it, but the refs were bad. They've been bad for a long time in this conference. So first off, I'm excited to be in a conference with better refs. But secondly, they just let them back in the game. It should have been one. I mean, there's periods of play that are just really good at times, actually. And then there's periods of play that are just like you scratch your head and you don't really know what's going on or what's happening. I think, like you say, a lot of that has to just do with what kind of talent we have and who's on the team and what they're capable of and not capable of. And that's not taken away from anyone. But ultimately, like it's getting frustrating for me. I know we haven't talked in a few weeks on this podcast, but you grew up watching Bob Huggins, and then you transition into Mick Cronin. And I think people forget, and we'll get into this in a second, people forget how long it took Mick to kind of get that thing back on the right track. Like, he didn't just step in and start winning. Like, he took him 4 years to make the NCAA tournament. Like, it took him a while to make it back into March, right? Like, and he was given a really tough situation. 5 years, even worse. But now he was given a really tough situation. But I believe wholeheartedly Coach Miller was given a really tough situation too. Almost a harder situation because he didn't have the Big East to recruit. Like, Mick could recruit kids based upon the fact that we're in the Big East. We're going to play Syracuse. We're going to play Georgetown, Pitt, Louisville, when those teams were at their peak of college basketball, right? Like, those were good basketball teams. You don't have that luxury for the first few years for Wes when you're recruiting like against Tulane and against ECU and Tulsa. And no offense to these schools, but no one wants to go play basketball in front of 100 people on a Tuesday night. People want to go play in Lubbock, Texas. They pack that place with 10,000 plus on a Tuesday night, and they're in second to last place, I think, right now in the Big 12. I think Oklahoma's in last. Yeah, that's what you want to play against when you play college basketball if you're a big-time player and a big-time name. And also, a lot of people tend to think this idea that, like, because we're going into the Big 12, that was just going to help recruiting for this past year. And what I'd say to that is the bottom line is if you're a grad transfer or if you're a transfer, oftentimes if you're going after the best transfers in the country, their plan is not to be somewhere for two years, right? Their plan is to be there for a year and hopefully go on to the NBA, right? They want to make their NIL money right now, which I don't think we had a lot of at that time. And then secondly, they want to get to the next level and play pro basketball, okay? Like, a lot of these guys, I don't think their plan is as grad transfers or even as transfers, I'm going to be at a place for 2-3 years, right? So the idea is still set that they're going to play in the AAC for a year before they go to the Big 12. So recruiting has been hard for him. It's been hard for him because of the fact that I think his hands are kind of tied behind his back at times with this whole situation. And then secondly, like, he's doing a good job, in my opinion, at recruiting these young guys. Like, I think Dan's going to be really good. I think Josh is going to be good. I don't necessarily know about Sage, but I know there's upside there. And I know his incoming recruiting class is good too. Like, there's guys who are going to be good for us. It just takes time. I think he's had some bad coaching games. I know people are kind of are getting annoyed and upset on Twitter. And I know you can't pay too much attention to Twitter, but he's had some bad games as a coach, I think, in certain moments, but every coach does. And it's easier said than done in certain moments. Like, so many times in games, you know, people think this happens because of this coach or that coach. Oftentimes players just make plays and win games, right? Like, players win games, coaches lose games, right? And that's like a saying, like, as any coach knows, Soppe was a big-time college football coach. Like, coaches oftentimes never get too much of the credit for winning the games. It's usually the players, but they always get credit for losing the game. And I think oftentimes, like, good coaches like Wes, he tends to take blame and take ownership. But a lot of it, in my opinion, from what I watch, there's just dudes who they're not going to be able to play in the Big 12 next year, and things are going to have to change. I don't know what your kind of thoughts are. I know I've kind of went on a rambling talk there, but I'm just kind of spitting some of the things that I think are going on right now and currently in the moment with the program.
I mean, you got to hope that next year's the year that they hit their stride, right? Where Wes and the group hits their stride, right? Because they're going to go to the Big 12, which is probably arguably the best conference in college basketball. So it's you're not playing Temple and USF, where you can have a shitty night and still get away with the dub. Like, that conference from top to bottom has really good players and really good programs. So, hopefully they can pull off a miracle and make it to the tournament this year by winning the conference tournament. I don't think that's going to happen, and we can talk about that. But, you really got to hope that those guys develop the way that you're talking, and that West, they kind of put it all together. And I'm not saying they're going to the Big 12 and win the conference, but go in there. And if you compete and, come out with the record that they have this year, if you come up with that record in the Big 12, you got a pretty good shot of making it into the tournament, being put into the tournament. So it's going to be a tough task for every program at this school next year. But, ideally, that's kind of when they hit the ground running is going to that new conference next year.
I'll say this. Sometimes people think I'm probably too negative at times. I don't see a scenario where they win the conference tournament. I know it's March. I know crazy things can happen. I have not seen this team or any of these players really win a big game. And then to win a big game, you got to beat Memphis and you're going to have to beat Houston, right? Like, you're going to have to beat both ultimately is what it looks like, right? I don't see how you beat either of them, first off. I mean, the best case scenario is you beat Memphis in the semis and then you just go get beat by Houston in the finals.
They're on track to be the 4 seed, which would, all intents and purposes right now, mean they play Temple, and then Memphis or Houston in the semis, and then Memphis or Tulane, who is to say Tulane is limping to the finish line right now would be an understatement. So they wouldn't necessarily have to beat. They wouldn't right now. They wouldn't face Memphis until potentially the finals. And they did have a 16-point lead on Houston in the second half at Houston. They didn't finish it out, but they did.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't. It's not that they're not potentially capable of doing it. They just haven't shown me the ability to close out games and win those.
That's
games.
what you said. They're not capable of doing it. So 0% chance of winning the conference tournament in your eyes.
I don't see a scenario where they win it. I would like to be wrong.
On a side note, thank you for the donation, Tonk. Your $2 is appreciated.
Yeah, I was
getting to that.
About that.
I was getting to it.
Appreciate you.
Saying if you say there's 0% chance of something, like that means
no. I hear you. I did say that. I might as well stick to it.
I don't disagree with you, Joe.
I'm not necessarily saying I'm disagreeing with them. I'm just going to.
I'm saying I don't disagree.
My problem, Chad, is I'm frustrated. I think I'm frustrated for a few reasons. I'm frustrated for the fans. I also think there's a lot of fans who I'm worried there's casuals, right? Like you and me. I'm going to be in fifth, third if they're in last place in the Big 12 next year, and I might be happy looking at the Big 12 logo and thinking about the hopes of what's to come in the future and things like that. But I'm worried there's a lot of people here. The more
don't worry about things you can't control.
Yeah.
There was 3,000 people. There were 3,000 people in 2007 at Fifth Third Arena when UConn was beating the shit out of them by 40. And you know what? When they were playing Louisville as 2 top 10 teams, Rick Pitino said it's the loudest road environment he's ever been in.
Yeah.
Like you can't spend time worrying about what you can't control. If they win, it'll all take care of itself. And this team is building. Like, forget about the talent. Forget about the talent. The culture that Mick Cronin built was destroyed.
I mean,
the culture Mick Cronin built was destroyed
completely.
Right, but
and you have to build that back up. The culture that Brian Kelly built took a hit under Butch Jones, and it was destroyed under Tommy Tuberville. And Luke Fickell had to build that back up. That's how this works.
I agree.
I think
Steady, I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what are you thinking right now?
I think you have to think about the talent. Like, I get it. You need a culture and you need things to rely on. But shit, when we had Chad on, he was talking about the culture and rebuilding it. So that's obviously going to happen. That's going to happen when you rebuild a program. But if you just don't have guys that can put the ball in the basket, I mean, you can only do so much.
I'm agreeing with you there.
Like
this is a roster that's not where
we still have dudes in the NFL we have dudes in the NFL that played under Tommy Tuberville. Like, none of these guys are going to the next level. I get it.
None of them were Sauce. None of them were Alec Pierce. None of them were Brian Cook.
None of those guys played under Tubbs. What are you talking about?
No, he's saying.
No. I'm saying the guys that played under Tubbs were like 7th round draft picks or guys that caught a break hanging on at the end of a roster. None of these guys that were here under Tubbs were guys that were picked in the first 3 rounds, were guys that were All-Americans, were guys that changed the program.
I understand that, but nobody on this roster is going and playing at the next level. Not in the NBA.
And there's a chance Vic does. There's a chance Dan does as they develop. They're young.
Not right now.
Would you have looked me in the eyes and told me Derek Forrest and Kobe Bryant
yes,
we're going to be regulars in the NBA their freshman year?
No.
Their sophomore year.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
NFL, not NBA.
Thank you, Aaron.
I honestly,
you don't want me to talk about Vic either. You don't want me to get on that.
You can be wrong as much as you want. That's fine.
On a funny side note,
I think Vic is going to get folded into the basket if he tries to go play in the NBA.
Okay.
Because I think he does that now, personally.
He's a European big man. You know how many European big men are making $50 million in the NBA? There's a lot of them.
So he's Nikola Jokic is what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
But Nikola Jokic is the only foreign European big man playing in the NBA?
The only one that's kind of important.
I'm not talking about being important. I'm talking about playing in the NBA.
All right. Anyways.
Let's transition. Okay. I am under the assumption that we're not going to win the conference tournament. I'd love to think differently. I'm going to have like that hope.
The odds are against them, clearly.
Yeah. I'm going to play one. Listen, the day they play their first conference tournament game to the time they play their last one, I'm going to be playing one shining moment in the car on my way to work that morning. Okay. I'm going to be locked in on the potential of getting back to March. Okay. But I don't think it's going to happen. And so, therefore, for me, my topic of conversation, I know the season's not over yet. My topic of conversation is this. What are the key pieces we need in the portal? What are the key pieces we're going to need next year? They've got Jizzle and Rayvon coming in. Okay. I read a stat today. Let me pull up this stat real quick because I think Bearcat fans need to hear this. This is an important stat that was tweeted out by, I believe it might have been Jeff Borzello. I'm trying to remember. Here it is. It's from Jeff Borzello. Only about 7 top 100 freshmen ranked outside the top 25, which is both of them, are making a noticeable impact each year. Essentially, if you're not landing a 5-star, the better bet for an immediate impact is always a transfer. Okay? So only about 7 of the top 100 freshmen
also Captain Obvious, right?
No, yeah, no, I know. But what I'm saying is, I think Jizzle's going to make an impact next year right away, in my opinion. but I think Bearcat fans are expecting more than they should from those guys.
Oh, I agree on that.
And so my thing is they need to hit on, like, I know earlier this week, fellas, I don't know if you listened, both of you, but earlier this week, Wes did a press conference where he there was nothing he could do or say that could have gone right or wrong. But basically what happened was they asked him the question, how many of these guys are walking on senior night on Sunday? He named 3, which was David DeJulius, who we knew was going to leave, Kalu, and Rob Finnessy. So those 3 are going to walk on senior day, which means like guys like John Newman, Davenport, Micah are not walking. Landers are not walking on senior day. Okay. We can leave.
Just to be clear, the 3 guys that are walking have no remaining eligibility.
Yes.
Everyone else that has remaining eligibility, they have not had the conversations, they've not sat down with Wes and decided what their future holds.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where all that comes from. Yeah. Odie, Micah, Jeremiah, and the two that you mentioned first. My brain doesn't. Newman and
Landers.
Yeah. Those guys all have the option to return. The 3 that are walking, they couldn't return if they wanted to.
Now,
so that's the distinction.
Now, I don't know which reporter it was. Some reporter asked them, right? Like, do you want them back? Do you expect them to come back next year? And what is he going to say, right? They still got a game left on Sunday, senior night, and then they've got a conference tournament. They're still trying to win, right? We know, I know they're not going to win the conference tournament, but ultimately they still believe they can win the conference tournament. Okay, that's their goal. As a coach, you got to continue to believe in your guys, right? But basically what happens is he tells the press, we'd love to see all of them back. Okay, we'd love to see all of them back. Well, Bearcat Twitter just, it goes up in flames. We can't have Jeremiah back. We can't have Micah back. What's going to happen? This team can't win in the AAC. How are they going to win in the Big 12? You guys can totally see Twitter. I know you guys aren't on Twitter as much as I am, but and I know Soppy's more on Brown's Twitter, but Bearcat Twitter blew up. Okay. It blew up. And I felt bad because I'm like, man, Wes can't buy a break. What's he supposed to say? Is he supposed to say before senior night, before the conference tournament, yep, these guys are not coming back next year? Because they haven't had those tough conversations yet. And you don't have those tough conversations until after the last game of the year. Right. I expect them to have some tough conversations. I don't know with who or what it's going to look like, but I expect them to do it. I'm not certain it's going to happen. I'm sure Chad and Aaron and more insider guys can kind of tell us more about what's probably going to happen, but I'm not completely sure. I'd expect them to have those conversations, but with those conversations comes us being able to land dudes in the portal that are able to help us win next year, right? That's the goal. So in my opinion, I'll end it on this. We need interior post defense. Okay. We probably need 2 of them. Okay. One of them hopefully can score on the opposite end, but if he can't, whatever, we need dudes who can block shots, alter shots, rebound the basketball, defend their butts off. If we can get 2 guys like that, that will significantly help the team. If we can get another 3-and-D guy who can knock down the 3 and guard the perimeter at a high level, that would be wonderful. I don't see them bringing in a point guard because I think they expect Day to be able to step on campus and play right away. So that's kind of my breakdown of what's going on. I think those 3 to begin, which are what I said, are huge. And then you can go from there. I do think we'd love to have Landers back. I think you want Odie back. I think you want Vic back. You're going to want all those freshmen back. You're going to want John Newman. I know John Newman didn't play all year, but the dude can guard the perimeter. Okay. He gives us something on the defensive end that we don't have. So those things are important. You've got some pieces. You just need to add to it. So that's how I'm going to end. I know I've gone on some rants tonight. I'm just passionate about Bearcat basketball. We got to get this thing on the right track. We got to get it back on the right track. Right, Soppy? We
have to.
We've been sitting in mediocrity for 4 years now. We got to get it run on the right track. One shining moment. Maybe a little da-na-na-na, da-da-na-na. We need that back in our lives. We need it flowing through our veins. Like, we want to see Mullet Aaron going nuts during a podcast because we're going back to the Sweet 16. We need that back in our lives. We need it to run through our veins, bleed red and black. And I think Wes is going to do it, but we just got to be a little patient.
Why have I got to be a mullet though? It's all equally grown out. Come on, man.
Honestly, if we get back to, if we get back to a Sweet 16 in the next few years, Aaron, will you shave your head and have a mullet? Tell the people what they want to hear.
TBD. I still have to have. There is. Look, man, I got one on the way. I got a little girl who looks up to me. I have somebody else who I need to be attracted to me still. You know, there are things. There are things that if it's just hair. I mean, I know you just did the. Let's see Joe Met grow a mullet.
I'm just thinking like, dude. I'm just thinking like, it doesn't have to be something big. Just
the south of France.
Something light on the sides.
I'll do a mullet if you do steps.
What are steps? Are they like the lines?
Yeah.
Listen, dude.
Joe, hold on. Joe, I want to circle back to your transfer comment.
Okay.
So you mentioned getting two bigs. You just don't think Vic's that guy?
No. I think Vic's the guy. I think Vic can play more of a stretch 4. I actually think Vic's able to knock down a 3 here and there. I think he's more of a stretch 4. And my thing with Vic is he's not like you said earlier, like, I don't think you're wrong when you say he kind of at times gets bullied in the paint. Like, I don't think you're wrong when you say that, but I think that's because he's playing a position that's not his position necessarily, right? Like, I think he's a 4 and he would go really well alongside another dude who can protect the paint, rebound really well, guard. Like, Vic does a really good job on people who are like his size or smaller. And he can score on anyone. It doesn't matter what the size of the defender is. He can score on anyone. I'm just talking on the defensive end, right? So we need someone who can help him and stand next to him on the defensive end, who we can trust to alter shots. Like, too often this season, guys have just been able to get in the paint and do whatever and get to whatever spot they want to get to without having to worry about someone who can alter those shots, block those shots. And then if they do end up missing the layup, oftentimes we give up that second chance rebound, put back, whatever it is. So we need a dude who can help in that regard.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, Joe. You know, I think you're right in saying that maybe he's playing a position that isn't really his. And you mentioned, you know, the Twitter world, like, it's funny when fans kind of, you know, defend, like, I feel like a lot of people have been hyping up Vic all year and like saying like, holy cow, he's improved so much, this, that, and the third. But I also feel like we don't have any other option than to play him. So
he's gotten a ton better. Like, he's right,
but it's because I think we have to play him. And if you're gonna play a ton of minutes, I hope you're able to improve a little bit. I would want to see how efficient he is if he's not getting as many minutes in a season.
I think next year, off of your point, next year is going to be huge in us figuring out, like, for the guys that are returning, can they handle that level of play? Because the level of play is so much different, right? Like, it's.
I mean, Big 12 bigs they're big.
Yeah, and Big 12 guards are fast and they can shoot, and Big 12 wings are long and they can also shoot and they can dribble and they can dunk, and so you're going to be playing against the best of the best. And to me, it is by far the best conference in college basketball this year, and it's got some of the best coaches in college basketball, and I don't see anything changing. I mean, it is a monster, but with that, if you can get some of the right pieces, you can win 6, 7, 8, 9 games in the Big 12 and have a chance to maybe get into the NCAA tournament just because of how good it is. So it's much different. Like next year, we're not taking any bad losses in conference play, right? Like we could go on like anytime you take a loss in the AAC that's not Memphis or Houston, everyone looks at that as like a bad loss almost, right? Like you don't take bad losses in the Big 12. You only get good wins, which is like a positive. Like
it's pretty crazy. If you put it in perspective, I have it pulled up here. Like the Bearcats, if they win their final game against SMU, they're going to be 20-11, and they're going to be the 4th seed, right? The 4th seed in the Big 10 right now is Texas, who is 22-8, and they're the number 9 team in the country. That's the 4th seed in the Big 12, and the 5th seed is also ranked. Is TCU at 22. So like that just shows you
TCU just beat
that conference.
just
Top
beat
5
them.
teams in the conference are all ranked in the top 25.
When I was I don't know, younger, when we were in the Big East, me and my dad would go to games at the shoe, and I'm telling you, man, like there were years where the Bearcats like weren't those first couple years with Nick when we weren't like that great, right? And we had season tickets. Like Chad's talking about, there were games where there wasn't that many people, or whatever it might have been. But like you were playing like Villanova and Scotty Reynolds on a Monday night. Then you had like Syracuse and Fab Melo on a Thursday night. And I know that was later on, but I'm just naming names. Like you had DeJuan Blair in Pittsburgh the next Tuesday at Pitt. Like it was just like every game was big. Outside of like DePaul, like every game was big. And so it was just awesome. Like I think I'm so excited about like getting into the Big 12 because the standard gets raised for everything. I mean, I think part of the reason we dominated the American in some sports when we left the Big East originally was also because like you just are coming from a place where you're playing such different level of competition. You got a different type and talent of player coming into your program. Like that all goes hand in hand. But I just remember like playing those teams and just every night, even if you were bad or good as a team that year, you were excited that you always had a chance to kind of like watch really, really good teams and really, really good players. And it's a lot more exciting than playing Tulane at home, like I don't know.
Bringing up DeJuan Blair is a great throwback. That guy was a great college.
All those names just went. Scotty Reynolds.
What about Kevin Pittsnoggle from West Virginia?
I remember him, but I remember DeJuan Blair was a baller.
I watched James White and Eric Hicks on senior night beat Kevin Pittsnoggle in the shoe in Andy Kennedy's final game in Shoemaker Center. Then they went on to lose. I was probably not supposed to mention this, but they went on to lose to Jerry McNamara and Syracuse on that floater buzzer beater in Madison Square Garden at the Big East tournament. Dude, listen, I miss like big time, awesome college basketball. Like this kind of just talking about this gets me so fired up for next year. I wish we could press fast forward just to like next season already. Don't care if we're good or bad. Just the fact that we're back in big time college basketball means everything to me.
You're going to skip football?
I'm fired up for football too. Really am actually. Oklahoma at home in Nippert Stadium. Same thing, but it's the same thing.
Hey, I'm going full Big 12, Joe Matt. I hope you join me, but I'm going polos at the tailgate this year.
Really?
Changing it up. Yeah, dude. All these Big 12ers are going to be in polos. We're going to go out to Baylor, and they're going to all be in that nice dark green and bright gold yellow and nice polos. Yeah. Going frat boy polo this year.
I like that. It's a classy move, Statty.
What about Tonk? Tonk's like a big fan of ours here in the chat. I'm really loving.
Tonk's going off tonight. He's having we should give him $2, honestly.
Yeah.
I love that. Joe, before we kind of transition to like football and the combine, I want to ask your opinion. So March Madness is not next week, but the week after. Next week, we got to figure out what we're doing with the show. Joe and I are actually flying out to California for a friend of the pod, avid listener, Josiah Aguirre. We're both in his wedding. That should be really fun. So we got to figure out what we're doing with the pod. But, I want to hear your opinion live on air for our listeners. I know there's like a week and a half, 2 weeks of still really good college basketball. But I want you to give like 3 teams. I want maybe like 2 teams who you think can legit, like you think will win the tournament, and 1 team that you think could come out of nowhere and make a run in the NCAA tournament this year. I want your opinion on that.
3 teams that can win the tournament.
You should live stream from the wedding. I don't know. That's a missed opportunity. It's the Rock of Truth.
With best man Bruno LaBelle.
Yeah,
live from best friend of the Rock of Truth.
That would be a good
his actual wedding. I mean, come on, man.
We got to get
the opportunity.
That, but I think we can do it.
Like first take.
Yeah.
Like first take in Dallas, Stephen A. Smith, like getting the fans riled up.
Yeah, that would be electric. I want your 3 teams though.
Okay.
Well, 2 all right, these teams are actually like really good shot at winning.
Go second.
Like 1 team that could like come. Sadie, you could go ahead and give it 2. 1 team that you think could come out of nowhere. I know
so 3 teams that I think have a really good shot at winning it, and then a team that I think is just sleeper of the year.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with my sleeper. I don't know if they're like 24th in the country right now, but I think TCU has a chance to like make a deep run. I really do. I think TCU is really good because once again, like the Big 12 is so good that like they kind of get ignored. I think they would actually win other Power 5 conferences because they're that good. Teams I think could win it. I do think Houston. Obviously, in my opinion, Houston could win it just because they've done it. They've gotten to a Final Four before. They play great defense. They can score the ball. They have good guards. I hate this. I think the other team, honestly, my favorite right now would probably be Kansas. Once again, another Big 12 team, Kansas. And then, I don't know. I'm really in the current moment not a fan of Alabama in their men's basketball program at the current moment. But are they talented? Yeah, they could win the national championship. They're really talented. But I know those are the top 3 teams. I don't know if I gave you anything special. I do think TCU is someone to watch out for. I mean, I'm out on Purdue. Like, I don't think Purdue can get because I just don't think the Big Ten's very good. So some people have Purdue going to a Final Four. I'm the opposite. Like I don't think they're as good as people are making them out to be. And then I also think anyone in the Big East can anyone in the Big East, I don't have a ton of respect for either until I see them in a tournament prove it.
I'm hearing people say that Kentucky's getting hot at the right time. Do you believe
they just lost to Vandy last night? No,
I know, but before that,
no, they suck.
I told Statty earlier in the year that what I said Coach Cal, he gets his guys going towards March.
He's coaching for his job.
No, he's not. They suck.
All right, my team, haven't watched a game this year. I'm going all in on the Bruins.
Dude, they're good.
Love it.
They're good.
They got Mick, and I know Mick left, but I'm still a Mick fan. And they got like actual names that like have been around, have played in big time, tournament games and stuff. So I've watched the least amount of college basketball this year than I probably ever have, which is disappointing, but it's the truth. But my very little research is pointing me to the Bruins.
You forgot to mention one big thing about the Bruins.
What's that?
You kind of mentioned it, but they got a really flipping good coach.
Yeah.
That knows how to win.
I did mention it.
And all these Bearcat fans can get mad and cry, but he's a really good coach and he knows how to win games. So
I'm gonna do the Joe Matt 3.
Yeah, go for it.
I really like Alabama.
They've been going on. We don't even get what's going on with everything going on.
Yeah, I love it even more.
I don't know. I don't know about that statement, but
anyways, about basketball. They've been in about 4 games where it's like, damn, Alabama's going to go down, and they just win. They simply just keep winning. So, you keep winning and you just keep winning. So that's why I like Alabama. I think Buddy's got a little chip on his shoulder. I enjoy the team of Alabama. I like Houston. I like number 1 and 2 right now. And then I like Soppy's pick in UCLA. My sleeper now, this is going to be incredible. They have to win the Big East tournament, but they just got their guy back who is just absolutely lining up for an unbelievable what's the video, Joe? I'm drawing a blank. What's the March Madness video? Shining moment. He's going to be the star.
One shining moment.
Justin
with our guy Luther.
Justin Moore and the Villanova Wildcats, they got to win the conference tournament to make it, but that's my sleeper pick.
The ball is tipped. There Soppy is. You know that song, Soppy?
Oh, I know it, dude.
Hey, before we get into spring football, our guy Tonk has officially invited us to Dallas. He bought a new home. So next year for some Big 12 games, he wants us to come through to Dallas for a TCU Bearcats game. What do you guys think about that?
Tonk, if you're there, I'm there, bro.
I'll go visit Tonk.
I'm headed to Stillwater.
Can you imagine Statty and Tonk drinking bourbon together?
Yes, dude. I want in on that. That sounds like my kind of party.
I don't do the bourbon, but I'll be there with Tonk.
I'll drink the bourbon for you. What about
are we road tripping together?
Yes. Yes. And you're gonna have a mullet.
The only problem is that Joe, we don't play TCU.
No, I'm talking basketball. And we could also go to Dallas, and we could probably. How far is like Houston from Dallas? I mean, there's so many schools down there. Baylor. How far is Waco?
The polos and shorts are for football.
Are we going to Baylor next year for a game football?
I want to go there so bad, dude.
Yeah, let's go. We'll go visit.
We play in Cincy.
Oh
my god!
Maybe we'll get lucky, Statty, and we'll play like
Tonk Tequila. There we go. Yes, sir. There he is.
Maybe we'll get lucky with Tonk, and TCU and Wake and Baylor will play like. We'll play them like on a Saturday night, and then play them on like a Tuesday night, where we have like it's like a road trip in those 2 spots, and we just go down to Tonk's place. We go to the Baylor game, then we go to the TCU game. Tonk and tequila, Statty drinking bourbon, the whole deal.
Dude, Texas in like January is not like that pretty of a place as I think you're trying to imagine.
Who cares? We'll be road dogs. We'll be in an opposing arena. We'll live stream a podcast with Tonk in Dallas.
Yes, I love it.
I can't wait to go to Stillwater this year. It's going to be incredible.
Driving home from Dallas in January was hell. I thought I was going to die.
That sounds awful.
Arkansas ice storm.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably an ice storm. Got you.
Ugh.
Tonk just gave us all the distances from his house. Baylor's an hour and a half. TCU's 45. Oklahoma State, that's your spot, Statty, 2.5. Tech is 3. Houston's 3. We can make this like a grit week. We'll just write a letter to Brett Yormark, and we'll ask him that we play all these teams in like a 1-week stretch, and we'll travel to each opposing arena. I know Wes probably won't like it, but we would just, I mean, can you imagine the 4 of us showing up to opposing arenas wearing Bearcat gear? I mean, that's asking for road victories, Statty.
That would be electric.
Yeah.
What about before my last comment? I'm just, doing my research, going to the top 25. What about my boys at Oral Roberts? 27-4, about to get in the top 25. Made waves in the tournament. What was that? 2 years ago or a couple years ago?
They're good.
They're really good.
Do they still have that one dude who's driving, putting up 30 a game, or is he long gone? They just got a solid program now. I don't know if anybody knows anything about Oral Roberts, but
Abmas, he's still there.
Dog. Absolute dog.
Is Charlotte still up there? Did they fall off?
Charleston.
Charleston, that one. Sorry.
Yeah, but they're still the favorite to win their conference tournament. They can make a run.
Well, they'll win their conference tournament.
Looks like Tonk's got the hookup.
Tonk's got the hookup with Coach Lepore. That's good for us.
We're gonna have to start figuring out the logistics on that.
Who the heck is Coach Lepore?
He's on the men's staff. Chris.
Oh, my bad.
That's a great person to know, Tonk.
Shout out Lepore.
Tonk is the ultimate friend of the Rock.
Exactly. I think Baylor is equivalent to Purdue as in overrated.
I agree. I don't know, but I'll agree with you.
I mean, they didn't play. They're playing the toughest part of the Big 12 towards the end of the season, and they've not done well.
Frauds. They're fraudulent.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Let's transition over to football real quick. Spring ball starts on Monday. That'll be exciting. Spring ball with the new staff is not fun. We had that experience with Fickle. It's a whole different kind of spring ball because the coaching staff's trying to feel everybody out, trying to weed the guys out that they don't want there anymore. So I'm sure that'll be fun. We don't really need to dive too far.
Soppy, rumor has it practice only an hour 45.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see about that. The Bearcats just added 3 new coaches to their staff, which is exciting. 2 on the defensive side, and then they brought in an offensive coordinator, Brad Glenn, who's coming over from Virginia Tech. So he was with Satterfield at Appalachian State. I'm looking at his kind of career now. This is his biggest job. I mean, he's been at Appalachian State, Georgia State, Western Carolina, Virginia Tech. Most recently, I don't really know a whole bunch about him, so I'm not going to talk about him a bunch, but that is big news that they brought over him to be the offensive coordinator. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
He was on the staff for Appalachian State that upset number 5 Michigan, for whatever that's worth, along with Satterfield.
All-time football game, probably one of the best college football games ever.
What's that, 14 years ago?
Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday. I remember watching that when I was a little.
Michigan was sponsored by Adidas. That's how long ago that was.
Yeah, that was an awesome game. So they got that coming over. 3 new coaches. Spring ball's coming, so that'll be fun to get Chad and Aaron's updates on what's going on there. Do you guys have anything you want to talk about on spring ball?
I like that you said Cincinnati's a bigger job than Vautech. I love that.
It is. I think it is at this point.
At this stage, yeah, I agree.
Although I'll give it to Vautech, greatest entrance of all time.
Yeah, we've talked about that one.
Yeah, Enter Sandman. So that.
What about Go ahead, Jake. You were gonna roll. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna roll into the combine. If you guys had any.
Perfect. No, let's transition to NFL before you go there. The boy DR9, maybe some excitement going down in Atlanta. They're moving on from Mariota, and I know we way back in football season we talked about kind of projections of hopefully Dez getting the nod about week 7, week 8, and so a huge opportunity right in front of him, dude. It's sick. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome from him. Yeah, they got rid of Mariota, and which is probably expected from a lot of people. Hopefully they don't bring anybody in free agency. They've been tied to different people. They've been tied to Lamar Jackson a lot. So I think there's still a lot that needs to play out. They're not going to draft the guy. I know a couple months ago, everybody was like, Atlanta's going to draft Bryce Young or this and that. They're not going to draft a quarterback. So it really is if they are going to bring in a veteran, if they can get a veteran at the right price for them. The only name that I've really heard about them is if they can get Lamar Jackson, they're going to potentially go and do it. Hopefully that doesn't work out for them. And based on like the comments that they've made and Arthur Blank, their owner, sounds like they feel pretty good about Dez and his development. And so hopefully for his sake and for Bearcat Nation's sake, I know everybody wants to watch him play. So hopefully he'll be the guy week 1 and we can see him, have a good year in year 2.
if you were playing GM, would you rather go out and get Lamar Jackson, or would you rather put roughly $60 million around Dez in weapons?
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball.
Yeah. No, I get where they're coming from. I mean, Lamar's won an MVP, right? So, like, I understand if they feel like
he's a great running back.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Lamar fan, but like I understand where people are coming from and trying to, he's proven that he can win and he's proven that he can be successful in this league. But I think like
you said, would you if you had
game, yeah, go ahead.
If you were a GM of the Cleveland Browns, would you rather have Lamar Jackson or Des Ridder?
What does that have to do with?
It's just dude. I'm just asking.
I thought you were gonna say or Deshaun Watson. I mean, do I have the extra $60 million that I can spend because that plays a lot? Because the Browns don't have any money to spend because all their money is in Deshaun Watson's contract,
which is stupid.
Which is ludicrous. It is, but they're gonna. I mean, apparently they're gonna restructure it so they'll have more money. And then
that's the same situation though. If you sign Lamar or if you trade for Lamar and you give up draft capital at that point.
Yeah, I get you got to pay the guys everything that you want, like everything that they want to get a high level quarterback like that. But being in Cleveland, hopefully works out with Deshaun in year 2. But I think everybody's a little bit frustrated with how much they gave up to get him. Our entire future's in his hands. A guy who didn't play for a year. He's got all that guaranteed money, and we gave up so much draft capital. So, like you said, like I think if you're a Falcons fan. I know Lamar's like the glamorous toy and everything, but if Dez can develop to what we think he can be, and then you can put all those pieces around him, I guess now comparing it to the Brown situation, I'd rather do that than go trade my franchise's future away and kind of put it all my eggs in one basket on Lamar.
I like Jalen Ramsey to the Falcons.
That would be cool.
I think pairing him up with the young dude on the other side. I can never remember his name.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of it either, but they got a stud.
TrueNet.
They got a lot of young talent, dude. If they can put the pieces together and add in the right guys, some good veterans. I mean, that division's wide open, right? I mean, that division is completely wide open. It's the worst division in the NFL right now. Yeah.
I know you're close with what do you call him, Steady? What do you call Dez? What's your nickname for him?
DR9.
DR9, yeah. Sapi, I know you and DR9 are pretty close friends. What are the chances you think you get him on the podcast, huh?
We're working on it.
Yeah.
We're chipping away at it.
It's in the works.
Trying to make it happen.
Yeah, that's awesing. Contract negotiations, you might say.
You're a busy guy when you're a starting quarterback of an NFL team. It's a lot harder to – he doesn't have as much free time as we do right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're working on it. Combine, though. We got some Bearcats in the combine. Linebackers tested today. I saw Ivan didn't test. I'm sure Chad or Aaron know the report on why he didn't. I don't. I just saw that he didn't test, but I've seen a lot of clips of his interviews and pretty bold, putting some bold statements out there, but I don't think he's too far off. And I love his confidence, and I don't think it'd be different if he had like an okay career and he was making all these statements and everything, but I think his play kind of backs it up. And I don't think he's wrong. So I don't think it's like not sitting well. Some guys go out there and they make these comments about how great they are and all this stuff, and you're kind of like turned off by it. But I don't think that's the case with him because I think he's proved it with his play. So I think he, did well in the interviews and stuff. Obviously, he's got to go through an interview with the teams and whatnot. And then you got Arquan's out there for the corners, Josh and Lenny, and then the 2 receivers, Tyler Scott and Trey Tucker. So we can talk about that. I think Josh is going to test really well. I think Tyler Scott and Trey Tucker are going to blow the roof off the joint, which I think we're all expecting. The other guys, I'm not sure if the combine is the best thing for like Lenny and Arquan. I don't think they're going to put up any crazy numbers. I don't think they're really built for that. I think they're both just like really good football players. And I think that's a little bit different than freak athletes. But I think those 3 guys, I think Josh, T. Scott, and Trey are really going to do well and put on a show.
Yeah. I think Lenny might run well though. Looking like he's down a little bit. in weight. But no, going back on Ivan, I just feel like him running wouldn't. It's not a win for him. Like I just feel like it would only.
I don't know why he didn't. Is he hurt or something?
I have no idea. I just don't think it would benefit him much.
There's defensive ends running 4.39s today.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Ivan going out and running a mid 4.5 or 4.6 or whatever is going to do him any good in the media cycle that is the combine.
Really?
His numbers were bad. Like his measurements were not good.
Yeah, no, I know they weren't. I thought though that he would make up for it in testing, but I haven't seen him in the weight room or anything, so maybe I'm wrong in saying that. I'm
just like, look, man, when you got DNs running 4.39s, if you're a linebacker that puts up a 4.61, everybody's gonna you already didn't test, like you didn't measure well. If you go out there and you're not fast on top of being small, you could like substantially hurt. I guess what I'm getting at, I'm guessing he runs at UC's Pro Day.
Yeah.
I'll take the hand time.
You think it's better for him to not run than the like confusion of why he didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he can answer that with the coaches.
Yeah. I guess.
Go do a hand time. Go do a hand time at the UC Pro Day.
I mean,
which is probably going to be outside at Nippert Stadium in March. That should be great.
That'll be fun. That was like when I first got there, 2016. They did the Pro Day outside.
They did.
I remember that Pro Day, and it was
awful weather. Gunner had to throw it. It was like raining and cold. It was just terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean Nolan Smith running a 4.39. Yeah, it's just. That's nasty.
By comparison, like there are dudes lighting up. There's like 3 or 4 of the fastest D line times. You know, those edge guys now are just
freaks.
Not fair. What like, yeah, and that's what you're comparing yourself to. That's what ran today.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart for him to kind of play it close to the vest, do the interviews, show that like, look, I'm just a football player. Like I'm not gonna come wow you with anything. I know I'm small. I know my measurements aren't great, but put me on your football field and I'll tackle the guy with the football.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean
I'm sure it's calculated. Everything that happens this week at the combine is
they got
calculated by agents and trainers and
they got a whole
the cycle.
Exactly, they got a whole team in their ear that's trying to figure out what's best for them because. The higher he gets drafted, the more his agent and his team gets paid, right? So they're doing
everything to
protect their money.
Follow the money, Soppy. It's always about the money.
Always is. T. Scott and Trey Tucker, what are they going to run? I know T. Scott's trying to say he might break Chris Johnson's record.
Chris Johnson said he might break Chris Johnson's record.
I know he's going to fly. I don't think he's going to break the record. I hope he does. That'd be incredible. I don't think he's going to, but I mean.
Times are fast. There's Nolan Smith ran a 4.39.
Do you think either of them could break 4.3?
Oh yeah,
Trey for sure.
Yeah, I think both of them can.
I've seen Trey run in person more than Scott. I don't even think I've seen Tyler Scott.
Faster, I think, dude. He can. I think Trey's quicker, but straight line.
I think both of those guys are track guys. I think they've now spent 2 months, 6 weeks, whatever it is, getting back to that track training. Like they're both going to fly. I would be shocked if they're not. If either one of them's over like 4.34, I'd be pretty surprised. And I wouldn't at all be surprised if they're both sub 4.3.
I'll give Trey a 4.31 and I'll give T. Scott a 4.29.
I'm going 4.27 for Tyler Scott. I'm going 4.27 for Tyler Scott.
Give me a 4.25 for Trey.
Dude, whoa, that would be incredible. I don't.
That's a 10th off of CJ2K.
Yeah, that's fucking fast. Dude.
Rolling.
They're both
Trey's gonna get out the gate.
I bet Trey's gonna have like an insane like pro agility.
Yeah,
I could see that because he can move laterally so
twitchy.
Fast. Yeah,
twitchy.
Exactly. I'm excited to see that though. I think that'll.
Well, the best thing about it is they've been friends since they were like 7 years old.
Yeah, they grew up in like the same area.
Well, they were on the same AAU basketball team. Trey has told stories about them riding in vans to AAU basketball tournaments when they were like 7, 8 years old, and Tyler Scott putting on like old Jackson 5 records.
Yeah, he's an old head, man. They always make fun. They call him like Unk because you like wear a robe to bed, and he's like he's an old soul.
He's got candles and a water feature in his room.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat.
I love Tyler Scott. I love Trey. I love both of them. They're great kids.
Yeah, both great kids. I agree with that. But
I want to see them both run sub 4.3.
That would be incredible. It's cool seeing it now. I feel like, when I first got to UC, even before that, it's like we might have one guy in the combine. Everybody's like sitting out and watching. Now you got like 8 of them every year.
Right?
Pretty damn cool to see. Hopefully,
like 6 this year, man. Kind of light in the combine representation. There's only 6 dudes there.
It's just crazy. Game up. That's become the standard, but hopefully it stays that way moving forward.
I think Jim Nagy's a big part of it. I know he's not as much involved in the combine, but like he loves Bearcats at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he does.
And that kind of fuels the combine invites, because if you play in the Senior Bowl, there's a good chance you're going to get drafted. The combine wants all the dudes that are going to get drafted. Like one begets the other. Jim Nagy, I think, has been a big part of like a lot of this blow up, the glow up for the Bearcats.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong. But
all right, I'm gonna go back to watching UCLA and Arizona State.
Do you fellas got anything else you want to finish with, or?
Hey,
I think I'm making my first Fifth Third Arena appearance this weekend.
That's awesome.
Better late than ever.
Soppy, we're gonna be Friday during the wedding. We're gonna be listening to One Shining Moment on the way to Josie D's wedding. Just getting ready for a 3-day run. The Bearcats are listening to this podcast right now. They're thinking, "Screw that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We're about to win this thing." That's my hope right now. Like, I hope these guys are like listening to the show, just fired up. Like, this guy doesn't believe we can do it, and they go out and do it. That would be the dream.
You're giving them the bulletin material that they need.
Yeah, purposefully.
Smart. You're a smart man.
Yeah. Do you have them getting out of the first round of the tournament if they play Temple?
I don't know.
That's all right. That's a no.
I'm not saying never.
I got them winning it all. So,
well, like y'all heard, the boys are on another vacation next week. I might just hold it down by myself. Maybe Tonk, you want to get on here with me? We can tonk it up on the rock. Boss up, love it. There we go. We can maybe get him on. But be alert on Twitter. We might
get Danco Joe on. You and Danco.
Yeah, I'm gonna cook something up for the Rocket and Tonks in. There we go. Okay. Might be our most viewed show ever.
Wouldn't be his first time on this network. He hopped on with us when we did Subathon about a year ago.
There you go.
You and Tonk talking Bearcat basketball would be legendary.
We have like 8 people on here.
He was in with us with me and Chad when in like the 15th hour of Subathon.
The late night shift.
Man, that was a long ass day, man.
What'd you guys do?
We streamed for 15 hours to get our subscriptions up for our YouTube channel, to get up over 1,000, and we didn't stop until we hit 1,000.
It's awesome.
Epic.
That is epic.
You've got college football, the loading. You've got the pause button over there. You got the Bearcat in the background.
I've been playing, bro.
Are we on the team yet, Aaron?
Yeah.
I downloaded last year's roster, and unfortunately, you weren't on last year's roster.
Can we be coaches? Shit.
I got
GAs.
I got Fick and Tress and Gino.
We want to be GAs.
I like how you just looked over at Soppy.
Really, this guy stop? You gotta look the other way.
I'm looking at whatever. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. Whether you're listening live, Tonk, we were giving you a lot of love. You were giving us a lot of love. We appreciate you. Everybody who's in the chat. Matt, you're in the chat. Everybody who is
David Mann.
Everybody who's listening at home after the fact, we appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Rock of Truth podcast, and we will see you guys soon. Go Bearcats.
Go Cats.